want to explain something very important in quantum physics that everyone seems to be actually missing. You might not take me serious. You might assume that science is perfect and math explains everything. That's all a lie. What really happens in the universe is all of what we call a particle interaction. Okay, these particles that we know of, that they claim they measured, it is a part of what you're seeing right now. You are a part of it, and it will not go away until you die, or the world ends, or the universe ends, or nature changes entirely, or even in part. Okay, so we can debate about this for a really long time, and you're going to find out what I'm talking about. The one big question in all of quantum physics right now, as we know everything to be so-called fact, the one major question of all quantum physics is particle-wave duality. I'm going to tell you something you never believed you would hear in the last 200 years, or the last infinitum, or since the dinosaurs pooped their first turd. Guess what? Waves don't exist at the perspective of actual particle physics. Now you're going to be riled up about that. Particle-wave duality is a lie. Okay? The only reason that we see waves in particles is because our perspective of the particle is at the wrong scope. Okay, when you see an electron orbit and it's waving like this, when we capture that image and we do it with energy that shows the particles in a wave, usually done with gamma rays, electrons, protons, photons, radio waves, whatever, what have you. You could choose any particle. And we know there are particles. They are particles. It's obvious. They do have volume. They are voluminous. Okay? And volume is everything. It's geometry. Geometry is the source of existence. Okay? Geometry, algebraic geometry describes anything that exists in 3 dimensions. We call it 3 dimensions. There's no such thing as real, true 3 dimensions. It's multi-dimensional. Only a box is 3-dimensional. If any other shape has multiple sides, that shape is no longer 3D. It's multi-dimensional. Okay? So, you need to understand that you've been lied to a lot by idiocracy. Einstein is not that smart. Okay? He's a fool. He developed quantum physics. He was the first. He was basically the father of the beginning. Now, what we know now is that particle-wave duality is the biggest misconception of quantum physics. There are waves that are occurring in quantum physics, yes, but at the level scope, or the perspective of the scope on the geometrical acuity, you might say, if you understand the word acute, the perspective acuity is wrong when we see waves. The double split experiment by Thomas Young shows waves in patterns. It appears to be a wave pattern. But guess what? It's at the wrong perspective acuity. Light travels in lines, and it is a condensed form of particle. And when it does, it bounces around a lot until it gets absorbed. Light is a charged particle. Imagine it as a ball, okay, with like the ability to have various charges. It travels as a ray, a vector, okay? It's just a vector ball with multiple charge states. Now imagine it trying to travel around a bunch of atoms in some type of solid. Okay, when it does that, it bounces around a lot, and it travels at a higher rate of speed. Well, that's obvious, but the wave that we're seeing in electrons and protons and all of this is actually an interaction of other subatomic particles that we don't even know are there. We've never measured these subatomic particles. They are causing the actual electrons, protons, and photons to actually wave. Okay, well, what about when particles travel space and we see them as stars? Guess what? There's no wave. It's just a charged particle that's hitting your eye. As a matter of fact, your eye will tell you the wavelength, if it was true, and how it exists by the detail of the perspective of the pixelated images that your eye can perceive. If light was a large enough wave and you compare it to the pupil of your eye, guess what? A lot of the light would be blurry and you wouldn't really be able to see. Light would be no detail because it's too wavy. And what's to say that if you get an X-ray, tell me this, why do X-rays not affect your vision? Because they are obviously charged. There's theories behind how particles get absorbed, and that also pertains to this. And what color is? They all claim it to be the frequency and the electromagnetic wave, okay, of the actual particle. So it's not true. It's actually just a particle with a certain amount of charge. It's like a proton. What about the nucleus of atoms conveys energy to maintain an electron in its orbit? Guess what? Particle physics says there has to be something tying that electron to the nucleus of an atom. And guess what that is? That's some form of particle or multiple particles.